Chapter 4 of Bambi, A Life in the Woods by Felix Salten. This Librivox recording is in the public domain. Read by Anne Fletcher. Chapter 4. One evening Bambi was roaming about the meadow again with his mother. He thought that he knew everything there was to see or hear there, but in reality it appeared that he did not know as much as he thought. This time was just like the first. Bambi played tag with his mother. He ran around in circles, and the open space, the deep sky, the fresh air intoxicated him so that he grew perfectly wild. After a while he noticed that his mother was standing still. He stopped short in the middle of a leap so suddenly that his 4 legs spread far apart. To get his balance he bounded high into the air and then stood erect. His mother seemed to be talking to someone he couldn't make out through the tall grasses. Bambi toddled up inquisitively. 2 long ears were moving in the tangled grass stems close to his mother. They were greyish-brown and prettily marked with black stripes. Bambi stopped, but his mother said, "Come here, this is our friend the hare. Come here like a nice boy and let him see you." Bambi went over. There sat the hare, looking like a very honest creature. At times his long spoon-like ears stood bolt upright. At others they fell back limply, as though they had suddenly grown weak. Bambi became somewhat critical as he looked at the whiskers that stood out so stiff and straight on both sides of the hare's mouth. But he noticed that the hare had a very mild face and extremely good-natured features, and that he cast timid glances at the world from out of his big round eyes. The hare really did look friendly. Bambi's passing doubts vanished immediately, but oddly enough he had lost all the respect he originally felt for the hare. "Good evening, young man," the hare greeted him with studied politeness. Bambi merely nodded good evening. He didn't understand why, but he simply nodded. He was very friendly and civil, but a little condescending. He couldn't help it himself. Perhaps he was born that way. "What a charming young prince," said the hare to Bambi's mother. He looked at Bambi attentively, raising first one spoon-like ear and then the other, and then both of them, and letting them fall again, suddenly and limply, which didn't please Bambi. The motion of the hare's ears seemed to say, "He isn't worth bothering with." Meanwhile the hare continued to study Bambi with his big round eyes. His nose and his mouth with the handsome whiskers moved incessantly in the same way a man who is trying not to sneeze twitches his nose and lips. Bambi had to laugh. The hare laughed quickly too, but his eyes grew more thoughtful. "I congratulate you," he said to Bambi's mother. "I sincerely congratulate you on your son. Yes, indeed, he'll make a splendid prince in time. Anyone can see that." To Bambi's boundless surprise, he suddenly sat straight on his hind legs. After he had spied all around with his ears stiffened and his nose constantly twitching, he sat down decently on all 4s again. "Now, if you good people will excuse me," he said at last, "I have all kinds of things to do tonight. If you will be so good as to excuse me." He turned away and hopped off with his ears back so that they touched his shoulders. "Good evening," Bambi called after him. His mother smiled. "The good hare," she said. "He is so suave and prudent. He doesn't have an easy time of it in this world." There was sympathy in her voice. Bambi strolled about a little and left his mother to her meal. He wanted to meet his friend again, and he wanted to make new acquaintances besides. For without being very clear himself what it was he wanted, he felt a certain expectancy. Suddenly, at a distance, he heard a soft rustling on the meadow, and felt a quick, gentle step tapping the ground. He peered ahead of him. Over on the edge of the woods something was gliding through the grasses. Was it alive? No, there were 2 things. Bambi cast a quick glance at his mother, but she wasn't paying attention to anything and had her head deep in the grass. But the game was going on the other side of the meadow in a shifting circle, exactly as Bambi himself had raced around before. Bambi was so excited that he sprang back as if he wanted to run away. Then his mother noticed him and raised her head. "What's the matter?" she called. But Bambi was speechless. He could not find his tongue, and only stammered, "Look over there." His mother looked over. "I see," she said. "That's my sister. And sure enough, she has a baby too. Now, no, she has two of them." His mother spoke at first out of pure happiness, but she had grown serious. "Oh, to think that Ina has two babies," she said. "Two of them." Bambi stood gazing across the meadow. He saw a creature that looked just like his mother. He hadn't even noticed her before. He saw that the grasses were being shaken in a double circle, but only a pair of reddish backs were visible, like thin red streaks. "Come," his mother said, "we'll go over. There'll be company for you." Bambi would have run, but as his mother walked slowly, peering to right and to left at every step, he held himself back. Still, he was bursting with excitement and very impatient. "I thought we would meet Ina some time," his mother went on to say. "Where can she have been keeping herself? I thought I knew she had one child, that wasn't hard to guess, but two of them." At last the others saw them and came to meet them. Bambi had to greet his aunt, but his mind was entirely on the children. His aunt was very friendly. "Well," she said to him, "this is Gobbo, and that is Feline. Now you run along and play together." The children stood stock still and stared at each other, Gobbo close beside Feline and Bambi in front of him. None of them stirred. They stood and gaped. "Run along," said Bambi's mother. "You'll soon be friends." "Oh, what a lovely child," Aunt Ina replied. "He is really lovely. So strong, and he stands so well." "Oh, well," said his mother modestly, "we have to be content. But to have two of them, Ina—" "Oh, yes, that's all very well," Ina declared. "You know, dear, I've had children before." "Bambi is my first," his mother said. "We'll see," Ina comforted her. "Perhaps it will be different with you next time, too." The children were still standing and staring at each other. No one said a word. Suddenly Feline gave a leap and rushed away. It had become too much for her. In a moment Bambi darted after her. Gobbo followed him. They flew around in a semicircle. They turned tail and fell over each other. Then they chased each other up and down. It was glorious. When they stopped, all topsy-turvy and somewhat breathless, they were already good friends. They began to chatter. Bambi told them how he talked to the nice grasshopper and the butterfly. "Did you ever talk to the gold bug?" asked Feline. No, Bambi had never talked to the gold bug. He didn't even know who he was. "I've talked to him often," Feline declared, a little pertly. "The jay insulted me," said Bambi. "Really?" said Gobbo, astonished. "Did the jay treat you like that?" Gobbo was very easily astonished and was extremely timid. "Well," he observed, "the hedgehog stuck me in the nose." But he only mentioned it in passing. "Who is the hedgehog?" Bambi asked eagerly. It seemed wonderful to him to be there with friends, listening to so many exciting things. "The hedgehog is a terrible creature," cried Feline, "full of long spines all over his body and very wicked." "Do you really think he's wicked?" asked Gobbo. "He never hurts anybody." "Is that so?" answered Feline quickly. "And didn't he stick you?" "Oh, that was only because I wanted to speak to him," Gobbo replied, "and only a little anyhow. It didn't hurt me much." Bambi turned to Gobbo. "Why didn't he want you to talk to him?" he asked. "He doesn't talk to anybody," Feline interrupted. "Even if you just come where he is, he rolls himself up so he's nothing but prickles all over. Our mother says he's one of those people who don't want to have anything to do with the world." "Maybe he's only afraid," Gobbo said. But Feline knew better. "Mother says you shouldn't meddle with such people," she said. Presently Bambi began to ask Gobbo softly, "Do you know what danger means?" Then they both grew serious, and all three heads drew together. Gobbo thought a while. He made a special effort to remember, for he saw how curious Bambi was for an answer. "Danger," he whispered, "is something very bad." "Oh, yes," Bambi declared excitedly. "I know it's something very bad. But what?" All three trembled with fear. Suddenly Feline cried out loudly and joyfully, "I know what danger is. It's what you run away from." She sprang away. She couldn't bear to stay there any longer and be frightened. In an instant Bambi and Gobbo had bounded after her. They began to play again. They tumbled in the rustling, silky green meadow grass, and in a twinkling had forgotten all about the absorbing question. After a while they stopped and stood chattering together as before. They looked towards their mothers. They were standing close together, eating a little and carrying on a quiet conversation. Aunt Ina raised her head and called the children. "Come, Gobbo, come, Feline, we have to go now." And Bambi's mother said to him, "Come, it's time to go." "Oh, wait just a little longer," Feline pleaded eagerly. "Just a little while." "Oh, let's stay a little longer, please," Bambi pleaded. "It's so nice." And Gobbo repeated timidly, "It's so nice. Just a little longer." All three spoke at once. Ina looked at Bambi's mother. "What did I tell you?" she said. "They won't want to separate now." Then something happened that was much more exciting than everything else that had happened to Bambi that day. Out of the woods came the sound of hooves beating the earth. Branches snapped, the boughs rustled, and before Bambi had time to listen, something burst out of the thicket. Someone came crashing and rustling with someone else rushing after him. They tore by like the wind, described a wide circle on the meadow, and vanished into the woods again, where they could be heard galloping. Then they came bursting out of the thicket again, and suddenly stood still, about 20 paces apart. Bambi looked at them and did not stir. They looked like his mother and Aunt Ina, but their heads were crowned with gleaming antlers, covered with brown beads and bright white prongs. Bambi was completely overcome. He looked from one to the other. One was smaller and his antlers narrower, but the other one was stately and beautiful. He carried his head up, and his antlers rose high above it. They flashed from dark to light, adorned with the splendour of many black and brown prongs. "Oh!" cried Feline in admiration. "Oh!" Gobbo repeated softly. But Bambi said nothing. He was entranced and silent. Then they both moved, and turning away from each other, walked slowly back into the woods in opposite directions. The stately stag passed close to the children and Bambi's mother and Aunt Ina. He passed by in silent splendour, holding his noble head royally high, and honouring no one with so much as a glance. The children did not dare to breathe till he had disappeared into the thicket. They turned to look after the other one, but at that very moment the green door of the forest closed on him. Feline was the first to break the silence. "Who were they?" she cried, but her pert little voice trembled. "Who were they?" Gobbo repeated in a hardly audible voice. Bambi kept silent. Aunt Ina said solemnly, "Those were your fathers." Nothing more was said, and they parted. Aunt Ina led her children into the nearest thicket. It was her trail. Bambi and his mother had to cross the whole meadow to the oak in order to reach their own path. He was silent for a long time before he finally asked, "Didn't they see us?" His mother understood what he meant and replied, "Of course, they saw all of us." Bambi was troubled. He felt shy about asking questions, but it was too much for him. "Then why—" he began and stopped. His mother helped him along. "What is it you want to know, son?" she asked. why didn't they stay with us?" "Oh, they don't ever stay with us," his mother answered. "Only at times." Bambi continued, "But why didn't they speak to us?" His mother said, "They don't speak to us now, only at times. We have to wait till they come to us, and we have to wait for them to speak to us. They do it whenever they like." With a troubled heart, Bambi asked, "Will my father speak to me?" "Of course he will," his mother promised. "When you're grown up, he'll speak to you, and you'll have to stay with him sometimes." Bambi walked silently beside his mother, his whole mind filled with his father's appearance. "How handsome he is," he thought over and over again. "How handsome he is." As though his mother could read his thoughts, she said, "If you live, my son, if you are cunning and don't run into danger, you'll be as strong and handsome as your father is sometime, and you'll have antlers like his too." Bambi breathed deeply. His heart swelled with joy and expectancy. End of chapter 4.